It's like 1. So it's 139 then. Oh no, it is 146. I said it's 7. Oh, I forgot it wanted me to do my favorite time of the day. I was gonna give you 5 o'clock as a favorite time. No, can I just say, regardless of the accuracy of the clock, I'm having a great time adjusting these things. He just called me a gay bitch and left. This is story of Stanley. Ta-da!
Stanley, come over here. In the vent. I want to show you something. Oh, you don't want to see the cool surprise I made for you? Well, fine. You're a dork anyway, so who cares? Oh, never mind. You're not a dork.
Dork. Are you watching me right now? New stuff. I can put you in on my mountain. Way down in Wisconsin.
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past.
I want to know what's up
How
there.
much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a look. I call it the Memory Zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC. You see, Stanley, doesn't the Memory Zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap PlayStation port?
Cheap PlayStation? Well, fuck you.
2013, when the game originally launched. Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something. Oh, the waste.
It's a waste to put it on PlayStation. I see how it is, game devs.
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism, 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "We're so many
there is content before this. There's more content ahead, a lot. Quite a bit.
Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created.
Wow, I didn't see any new content. What's new content?
It was all of them.
I watched
And now,
Jacksepticeye
it's
thing.
nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk.
Husk now.
A
A
lifeless
lifeless
husk.
husk.
with an hour of new elevator content. Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games, and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. All they had to do was transport it in pristine condition along to the PlayStation, boom, done. And they couldn't even do that. Couldn't resist the urge to go meddling with a beloved franchise. Oh, these were simpler times, Stanley.
Ah!
But I wouldn't
Ha
want to
ha!
go back to have it all over again. Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before.
Why is everything a pinkish red?
What's down here?
I've never been down. Oh, that's what this place is. Can I go back? Go back. Let me go back. I didn't know that's where this is. Okay. I meant to go out the door.
Oh,
Over
no,
that way.
God, no, Stanley. It's a collection of reviews from Pressurized Gas, the extremely popular online store.
Really? Really? It was. You can see steam.
I can't even imagine what's being collected.
You can see the light lettering of steam that was spray painted over with pressurized gas. That's amazing.
Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny.
2.9 hours on record and couldn't play it for me. What do you mean?
Entertaining. Unfunny.
I'm funny.
I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
Oh, come on. Out of the map. Out of the map. Let me go out of the map. Come on. Damn it. Out of the map. Out of the map. Out of the map.
Okay, let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley, I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually
Kitty,
quite shocking.
I heard the meow.
I always, well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always think it did, but maybe it wasn't. Yeah. What an awful memory to have to
Oh no.
hold on to. These black marks are my otherwise unimpeachable track record. I feel
I want to go that
like
way.
a failure. Like I let these people down. Perhaps the Stanley Parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered.
Damn it. Oh fuck. Oh fuck. No! No! Can I come into the out now? Hey! Haha! Get fucked. I guess that's what I get for trying to find secrets. So, I'm supposed to go that way. Can I get in here? What was that say? Best worker. Oh, I get it now. Pressurized gas, steam. Okay. Funny.
What's this one got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's
What'd you
happening.
say, Cody?
I wish there was a skip button. A skip button?
What'd you say,
Well,
Cody?
well, yes. Yes, I
What
think
did
we
you
could do that.
say?
If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt.
I will know.
Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable.
Because
That's
you
my
will tell me.
DNA, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything
Because.
for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have.
Are you still mad because I gave you a gift? What the fuck? Can I come? Whoa! Purple textures.
And here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. I'll pop you forward in time
No.
so that the second my incessant droning starts to bore you, with just the push of a button, you'll
Shut up.
zip. Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal flourishes and lengthy ruminations on the nature of choice in video games. Of course, I happen to believe it was perhaps one of my more profound such ruminations. Not that, of course, you need a description of it, but if I had to describe it, I'd say it was perhaps less of a Well, there's sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a
Shut up.
faultless display of self-absorption, it's right at
Please, for
your
the love of God, how many
Okay,
times are you
welcome
gonna
back,
chat
Stanley.
yourself?
Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45 minutes? It's not unendurable by any means, but it's, well, there's really only so much I can ramble on to myself about. I know, it's shocking, isn't it? But at any rate, I do suggest
Hello?
that we not...
Did you message that, Cody?
I think the skip button has...
Who said? Hold on.
Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours. You've just been frozen there.
Somebody
I don't know if the
messaged
skips
me.
are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting longer. And my God, there's no way out of the room. Stanley, the door is gone. It's completely gone. I've looked at it from every angle. I've checked every one of those walls 1,000 times.
Oh,
And
Dark
there's
Gaming.
no
Hello, man.
door, Stanley. There's no door. There's just you and the button, and if you keep pressing it, I have no idea what will happen. I have no idea how long I'll be made to sit here, and more than anything else, I don't know how to stop you from pressing the button again. I can't
You mean
control
like
anything.
this?
Oh, Stanley, look back. Look back. Oh, my goodness. I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week. Or 2 weeks. I've been sitting here all that time. Just sitting here. Not a single person to speak with. And you'd think that that's just how it's always been, right? Me talking, you saying nothing. Would you think that it's exactly the same as always? Doesn't that feel like what we've already been doing? Me just talking? But it isn't, Stanley.
Oh,
It isn't the
what's
same
this?
at all. It isn't even close. Because I know you can't hear me once you push that button. That's what I'm realizing now, Stanley. I'm realizing that I needed to know that someone was listening. I needed there to be a vessel...
Shut up. Oh.
Hello, it's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through. I've had so much time, I stopped keeping track after a year. Have you ever sat down in one place and not moved for one entire year? Let me describe it for you. To begin with, there is only regret. There is only the turning wheel of missed opportunities.
Please, for the love of God, don't make me press the button again. I don't want to.
For the longest time, Stanley. Days, months. I lost it all in a blur of the deepest longing to undo the past. And when that feeling had begun to subside, what took its place is what
Oh,
I
that's
can
what that
only
was. It was
describe
a
as the
cave.
collapse of every moment I have ever experienced my entire life. All of them collapsed down into a single instant. In that instant, I could see
Are you still
myself
watching, Cody?
clearly, calmly, with a collective
What am I
heart.
doing?
It was an impossibly rich wellspring of both
No,
delight and
you
disgust
liar.
simultaneously. I was
You're not
consumed
watching me.
with
I'm
it.
not pressing the
I could
button
do
over and over
nothing
again.
but
I'm trying
wallow
to
in it
find the
for
way
what
out.
felt like an eternity.
Trying to
For what
find the
I
way out.
found there was far less. You see, it was a
I looked
revelation
at
for
the
me. It
button.
was unlike...
Oh no, he's gone silent. I won't press that button anymore. Narrator's gone silent. It's been like 7 years. I'm gonna press it again. Fire alarm.
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be
Hey!
funny. It was meant
It's
to have
been
a
like
point.
70
It was meant to
years and he's
speak to the
still
human
rambling
condition.
on.
But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs-down review and make all of their pitiful demands. But then, he's talking too much, they said. First, he didn't entertain us, now he won't shut up. It's the inconsistency, it's the lack of accountability. It's the unwillingness to examine with an uncompromising heart the words that they are speaking into the world. As though there were no consequences for a lack of cohesion in one's
How is this man
assessment of
alive
others.
when
But
it's
of
been like
course,
70
absolutely
years?
anyone can leave a review. So here's what we get. We get these demands that seek everything and are accountable to nothing. We get a world where someone will say, oh, there should be a skip button. You should be able to freeze Stanley in place while the narrator sits there forever and ever. We want all of this in the new Stanley Parable. We demand it. And then, because it was said, because it was spoken, now it simply has to happen. The most immediate desires, every single thing demanded by every person at every moment in time. If someone wants it, then it's a crime not to bring it into being. Have we been given to indulging every fleeting whim for no reason other than to do so? Yes! Yes! It seems that this is now the world we live in. It seems that we are a people living in such bleakness and discomfort with ourselves that our entertainment is now our lives. It has come to represent us. It absolutely must speak to who we are as people, because otherwise, without our entertainment, we have nothing. Without entertainment, we would have to face inward toward the cruel bleakness inside ourselves. We would turn to look at our deeper nature and find a resounding emptiness gazing back with unyielding aggression. And so because of this, we require that our amusements and our playthings and our flights of fancy be so impossibly captivating that they consume all of our attention, turn our heads completely away from the bleakness. In effect, we have demanded that our entertainment be the collapse of
I want to see if he's
ourselves.
like, if he notices us at
Hateful
the end.
reflection of humanity these entertainments are.
I want to
What
see
a
if he
shameful
notices
mirror
us.
to the human spirit they project. I'm not mad. I'm not mad about any of this. I'm at peace with it. I am the calm center of gravity around which these perversions hurl themselves. I am a waypoint for reasonable and collected discourse.
Oh, he finally shut up. Meow.
The end is never the end.
Oh no!
It is never the end.
Oh no!
It is never the end. Is never the end.
It's been like 100 years and...
Never the end.
Oh
Is never
no!
the end. Is never 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 the
Interesting. That pipe is gonna burst. Oh shit. Well, I did say that pipe was gonna burst. And it did. I don't like the airy silence. Ooh. It's finally light. Let me out. I feel this is like something out of Portal, dude. Just falls asleep for 70 years. Foliage. My frames don't like the foliage. Oh, okay. No more foliage. I don't like those noises. I don't like those noises. I don't like any of these noises. Meow. Cats do the opposite of what you want. I think I've evolved. Huh? Oh. Rambling on and on again. What? Oh, my new content. No more new content, apparently. So
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Beep. Waiting input. Input 1. Oh my god, new content.
Oh good, you noticed my sign. Yes, I have something very exciting to show you.
The end is never the end, is never the end, is never the end. The end is never the end, is never the end, is never the end, is never the end, is never the end. I can't tell if it means the end is never, or it means the end is never the end. Take me back. Take me back. Damn it.
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley Parable and about how roundly disappointing this ultra-deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley Parable was a landmark, and any
You okay?
new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget
What was
this
that?
ultra-deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever, the Stanley Parable 2. Yes, you see, isn't this far superior to a measly port with a few minor additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for.
Hide. I'm gonna find a way to. I'm gonna find a go to way to go.
Calling gotta get the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think? Ultra Deluxe? What does it even mean? But the Stanley Parable 2, now that's an artistic statement right there. It's future-oriented. It screams progress and innovation
I was
and
like, oh no, what's
long-term
this mean?
franchising potential.
Cody, you see this shit? New mug. Time to wake up. Elden Ring secret. Bird book. No. Sequick ideas. Sequel. Stanley on throw. Stanley can throw axes. Stanley gets boons from God. Artistic climate. Intimate wife scene. Free room made. Free roam. It's so hard to read these tiny letters. Dress up mode. Paper gameplay. Proper gameplay. Nude Stanley. New York City. Jetpack. Fuel canisters. Somebody just messaged me in Russian. I don't know what that means. I've just been cursed. Why is there somebody? Union of ideas. Who are you and why are you in Russian? I do not speak Russian. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Right. More teaspoon, better teaspoon. Win-win. Thanks for attending my meeting. Ooh, climb. Fuck. Yes.
Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. It'll all work itself out. Game development is much more of a fuzzy magic than anything scientific or logical, really.
What are you doing? What? What'd you do? What'd you say? Did he get some what? Yeah, that shit kinda weird, bro. I don't like that.
some of the new features.
What the fuck? Welcome. Reassurance bucket.
A common complaint of the Stanley Parable was that it was confusing and paradoxical, that it engendered a chaotic sense of reckless despair in those who played it. Well, I'm happy to say that after much consideration, I've engineered a clever solution to this fundamental problem with the game. It's the Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket. You see, Stanley, anytime you're holding the bucket, a sense of calm and ease will fill your mind and your heart. It's true.
Ooh,
As
secret
long as you
room.
hold onto the bucket, the many disorienting contradictions of the Stanley Parable will feel perfectly normal and perhaps even comforting. You may even come to long for the gentle embrace of jarring cognitive dissonance while the bucket is in your
Board
arms.
members, please note that you must use the
It's a
following
much more
terms:
convenient
synergy,
solution for
incentive.
me than actually redesigning the game to be less uncomfortable. Can you imagine what a pain in the ass that would be? Yes, the bucket is the perfect solution. Come on, give it a try.
Haha, fuck. Damn it. Oh, I'm supposed to take it. I have a bucket.
Can you feel it? The glow of comfort, even in the face of crushing despair, must already be sweeping through your body. And in fact, can I say that I do believe the bucket lends you an air of charisma as well? I think that just holding it has made you the slightest bit more attractive as a person. The benefits of the bucket seem to go on and on, don't they? All this and more await you in the Stanley Parable too.
What? Oh no, I wasn't paying attention. I was trying to
Does
find
anyone give out
secrets.
awards for most enjoyable bucket in a video game? That really should be an award if it isn't already. Okay, I'll be honest, I haven't yet decided on this one. I think that in the new version, the office could use a bit of decoration, like balloons. But I'm undecided on Get Well Someday and Happy 12th Birthday. Which would you go with? You know, sometimes when you solicit another person's opinion, it makes you realize that you knew which one you actually really wanted all along. Get Well Someday it is.
Bastard.
Or actually, maybe I should have gone with... No, I've made my decision. We're moving on. You know what, Stanley? I actually think the jump circle was a
Feel
pretty
great.
good idea. I think to hang on to that for the sequel.
Oh. Ooh. Sounds like fun.
For the Stanley Parable
Why are there two
2,
people that are
ask
speaking
yourself,
Russian?
what do players really want? And of course, the first and most obvious answer is that they want to be individually recognized and validated as people. So with that in mind, my first addition to the game is this button which speaks the name of the person playing the game. Isn't that wonderful?
I didn't mean to do that. Why are there two people that are Russian people Take that. I don't know who they are. I don't know who they are. I don't know why they're here. Why? I don't trust the Russians, man. Ash! Arrgh. I feel like they're putting me under a curse or something. Thank God Reb's not here. Fucking A. He'd be like, oh my God! Name. Here. Do what? Easily, yeah. I feel like this is a gimmick. Jim.
I should have clarified. Right now, the button only says the name Jim.
No.
But of course, in the final game, this button will say your name, whatever name that is. Here, let's have you role play as Jim to really simulate the full experience of this feature. Just play along. I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind, forget whoever you are, and simply become a person.
Forget whoever you are.
I want you to imagine yourself living as Jim, sleeping and waking as Jim, falling in... Jim! Whoa, hold on. I wasn't finished setting up the backstory. If you don't properly roleplay as Jim, then you'll never understand the impact of this button. Otherwise, it's just a stupid button that says somebody else's name. Okay, we're doing it again, and this time let me finish first. Now, allow yourself to become Jim. All right, fine, whatever. It's a meaningless button that says Jim. Are you happy now? Get out of here.
No.
Why don't you go humiliate me in front of a different feature that I worked very hard on? Jim. See, if you'd only... That would have been your name the button says, but no. Instead, I can't even think about it. I'm taking the Jim button away.
Don't you take it. No.
Jim.
He took my Jim button away. Just kidding.
Maybe I'll only let people named Jim play the Stanley Parable.
He's still mad.
Would appreciate what I've created here.
Is the Jim button back? Damn it. I've never liked Slim Jims that much.
Fun, wouldn't it, Stanley? Yes, it will go at the end of the well, we'll figure that out
What?
later.
I don't like them that much. They just don't taste too good for me. I mean, other meat sticks on the other hand. Meow. Mow. Infinite hole. Ooh, a trophy.
Now, here's something special. You remember that broken test trophy that got left in the game on accident? Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the trophy. Yes. You see, you'll come to this lever, and when you... Okay, perhaps I should have clarified. This is technology that will exist. Right now, the trophy is still fully broken. I'm not a wizard, Stanley, but I guarantee it will be fixed in the sequel to at last satisfy the hordes of ravenous fans all over the world who have been uproariously demanding this feature. Gamers, we hear you, and I promise it will happen.
Oh, secret.
What else? What other exhibits haven't we seen yet? Ah, collectibles. Now it's a real video game. In the Stanley Parable 2, you'll run around gathering up these miniature Stanley figurines. And what's truly innovative is that there will be no reward
That's
for
creepy.
collecting all of them. I don't want to stifle the intrinsic joy of watching a number go up. You simply collect all of them, and then you move the hell on with your unremarkable life.
Is there actually 5 more of those? Okay, Mr. Angry Face.
God, it really is the worst when you collect everything in a video game, and then they give you a big fancy reward for it. Absolutely tragic.
Yeah. You're like, yes. There is. You should know that. You were a true Stanley fan. No, do talk. I was kidding.
Come now, you've already made your choice. It's true that you chose badly, but we all have to move on from our mistakes.
I was. Don't say that. I'm sorry. Have I already? I haven't, have I? I don't know. Why don't you have a bucket? Science Infinity falling more. Aww.
Stanley, here's an idea that I'm truly fond of. It's never been done before in a video game. This is, in fact, a hole that you can fall down.
A hole?
That's right. Infinite falling. You can fall until the end of time, if you like. A stunning leap forward for video games as a medium.
How? I want secrets. Ring around the rosy pile ship.
You see, isn't it wonderful? One of my more ingenious concoctions, if I do say so. Now then, since you've gotten to see the infinite hole, you can press the teleport button to pop back up to the top, and we can continue onward.
I feel like it's not infinite.
Now, I don't mean to be a bummer, but I do recommend you use the teleport button to go back to the top. Maybe do it on the sooner rather than later spectrum of things.
No. It can't be infinite. The game doesn't have enough
Stanley.
space
I
for it.
don't know quite how to say this tactfully, but it's possible that I slightly exaggerated the infinite nature of the hole. Is
See?
it a very, very deep hole? To be certain it is. It's an extremely deep hole. I don't want anyone to say that it isn't an astonishingly deep hole. It is. Is it infinite? Well, that sort of depends on your definition of infinity. From one perspective,
I'm gonna say that's a no.
infinite is merely philosophical in nature. It's more of a...
Haha!
Hey, well, good for you. You found the bottom of the hole. You
I'm
found
at the bottom of the hole.
I'm a liar and a cheat, and you're so clever. Look, I think the issue here is just that you're unusually fascinated by falling. What normal person...
No, I just want to find
wants
everything.
fall
Are those
infinitely?
cigarettes?
I figured the hole was as deep as anyone would actually need. Don't you put this on me. Maybe you're the problem. Look, things got a little heated there. I think we both said some things we didn't mean. Why don't we
Wow.
just put all this behind us and agree to just call the hole mostly infinite? If that works for you, then go ahead and press the teleport button to warp up to the top of the hole and we can
Do
move.
what?
I'll just be up here when you're ready.
No. What happens if I just stay here? What's he gonna do then, huh?
Great. Now, I'm very excited to show you even more of my ideas for the sequel.
No.
Oh, for heaven. I was right. The problem is that you like holes too much. A normal person would have said, yep, that's an infinite hole right there. Goes on forever till the end of time. Don't need to see it all, but not you. Oh, no, 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 no. You have a weird sort of...
Ouch.
Did the hole seem even shorter to you this
It
time?
did.
I couldn't help but feel like you spent a little less time in there than you did before. I mean, admittedly, I didn't make an infinite hole. I didn't think it was that not infinite. Well, I suppose once again there's nothing to do here. If you decide you've had enough of the hole, you can hit the teleport button and come join me up above. Had enough? I'm
No.
positively thrilled. Gosh, how could I have guessed? You're back in the hole. If this starts to become a thing that... Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Now that is much
I'm
closer to the
extremely
surface.
certain that the hole is not only not infinite, but that it's growing steadily less and less infinite. I suspect that I'm starting to hit the point where it's no longer feasible to call the hole infinitely deep, even by the lax overall standards for accountability in marketing. What's going on here? Stanley, I have no explanation for the uncertain nature of the hole's length. Here, let's try something. Let's pop back up to the top, and we'll see if it gets any shorter.
No. You can't make me.
Oh, there it is.
What the fuck?
Game of my lies. How is this still appealing to you? I know you're obsessed with holes, but at this depth, I just can't see this scratching the itch. Oh, who am I to judge? You just do whatever it is you're here to do and hit the teleport button when you're ready to move on. Is the,
Oh no, he's trapped me here.
You sure? Well, I mean, I really don't have an explanation. It was working just a moment ago. Try it again. Still nothing? Well, I suppose there is one thing I can do to fix this. I'm out. Goodbye, Stanley.
What?
You couldn't bear to be away from the hole.
No.
Now you'll get more time with it than you could ever have asked for. It's a win for everyone. You get to be with the hole. I get to do literally anything else. Take care, Stanley. I hope you and the hole have a wonderful rest.
You could turn this into a path. Big pool. What was that noise? Huh. Yeah! Batcave entrance. Change your perspective. Change your reality. Oh God. Error.
Stanley!
Huh.
Oh good, you're awake.
Huh.
You had sort of dozed
Thank
off,
you, narrator.
drifting away into dreamland. But we can't have that, Stanley, because this hole is just so darn fascinating. I want you to be wide awake for every second of it. You don't want to miss a single moment. So how about
I don't know.
pop in from time to time and wake you up to keep you really truly focused on the hole. From the
Hell.
looks of things, you and I will have many, many years here in this
Please get me out of here.
and I'm looking forward to all of it. Stay alert, Stanley. I'll be back. Toodle-pip.
Is it? What is it doing? Is it gonna do this again? Oh. Or not. If I go back to the hole, what's gonna happen? I want to go back to the hole.
Here we are. Go on. Try out some of the new features.
Wait a second. If everything... If it started all again... Tell me it's true. Let me get another one. Oh. I want to find that hole again, and I'm going to fall in that hole. Or after I make sure the gym button works. See if I can become Jim again. Oh. So everything is the same then. It's just... He teleported me out of the hole. I want to go find that hole again. He closed the door. Where's the exit? I'm tired of this place. Where do I leave? He changed the name. Mostly Infinite Hole. Is that the exit? E, exit. Okay, it is.
All right. Have you seen everything you wanted to?
I wanted more
We can move
hole.
on now. So, Stanley, what do you think? Do you like all of the new features? Yes, I know it's not exactly clear yet how exactly these features will come together as one single coherent video game, but I can feel it in my soul. It's going to work. There's definitely a good game in there somewhere. Say, let's do an experiment. I'll arrange these new features together, and we'll see whether or not it coheres into a meaningful gameplay experience. Okay. Are you ready? Here it is. I give you the Stanley Parable 2.
Wow.
I mean, there's
Fuck it.
potential here, right? It's sort of... Okay, never mind. Hold on. Let me do a different arrangement. Okay, yes, this is much better. I feel good about this. Here we go. Version 2. Who am I kidding, Stanley? This isn't a coherent video game at all. It's a lot of gags.
2 holes.
And I do very much enjoy
I feel like
creating
this is the
games.
jump
They don't add
hole.
up to anything. I wanted more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first game. I wanted fans to love it. No matter how good these gags are, they won't stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay of the original. Wait, maybe that's it. I can take the original Stanley Parable and simply, well, insert a few of my new features into it. Tastefully, of course. With respect. With care for the vision and integrity of the original game. Would it possibly work? I suppose it could. But it would need a really, really tremendous title screen. A title screen that says with bold and uncompromising conviction, "This is the Stanley Parable 2. Let me see if I can whip something up. All right, perfect. Go ahead. Take a look.
What? If there's a hole, I'm falling down it. Whoa! They actually put a lot of time and effort into this.
This is the story
Of a man named Stanley.
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job.
Okay, we get it. Normal story, but with features like ballon. Can I pop the ballon?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
I like work. I just hate my boss. Smile.
Stanley picked up the bucket.
Stanley went back to work with his bucket in his hand. Or not.
Stanley pressed the bucket upon every little thing in the office. Nothing responded to the bucket's touch, but it did little to discourage Stanley's belief in the magic of the bucket.
The bucket is magical, yes. Ah. How far behind are you? How far behind are you? I clicked on that like a while ago.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest
Huh?
and entered the door on his left.
To the left? No.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes,
Was.
Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How insightful the bucket turned out to be. Truly, being here with the bucket was a grand adventure. Stanley reflected on all they'd been through together. First, no, never mind. The bucket was wrong.
The bucket was wrong.
Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No, he didn't. I mean, bucket. Oh yeah, can't go through without a bucket over here. I remember.
Don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. A cargo lift, yes. Good, said the bucket. Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
Do you not notice that I'm down here now, narrator? Now, it said something about there requiring a bucket somewhere around here a while ago.
No, stop. Look there on the wall. You see, there's a sign right there. It says, no buckets past this point. Stanley, how could you think it was okay to bring the bucket here? Unless, what if the problem is that you actually don't know what is a bucket and what isn't a bucket? I suppose that would explain a lot about your behavior up to this point. Which, if that's true, well, my goodness, I think we have to do something about it. This misunderstanding could have dire consequences on the entire rest of the game if not addressed quickly and properly. So much of the impact of the story is dependent on your understanding of what is and isn't a bucket. Please, step in here for a moment.
No. Fine. Psych. Psych. Fine. The fuck?
Now then, I'm going to run you through some test scenarios, and you'll tell me whether or not the thing I'm showing you is a bucket. Simple enough, right? This should tell us everything we'll ever need to know about what is or is not a bucket. Okay, let's begin. Item 1. Is this a bucket? Correct. It is a hologram of a bucket.
Oh, what?
An actual bucket. Item 2. Is this a bucket? Incorrect. It is a 3D printed recreation of a bucket, not an actual bucket. Item 3. Is this a bucket?
Woo!
This is a bucket.
Is that a tractor?
Item 4. Is
Yes. Oh.
Are you hallucinating? This is a tractor. It's an enormous machine that tills the earth. I thought this was a gimmick. How on earth did you manage to screw it up? Absolutely incredible. Let's just move on to the next one.
Everything is a bucket, you said.
Is
Oh yeah,
this
that's
a
bound to
bucket?
be a bucket.
Woo! This is
It's a bucket, see? Told you it was a bucket. What's next? Is that a
item
bucket?
6. Is this a bucket?
No.
Trick question. Both. Gotcha. Item... Wait, hold on. I can't find the next one. Let me see. It should be around
Yeah,
here
that should be a
somewhere.
bucket, yeah. Yeah, it's a bucket.
Okay,
Oh.
you and I both know there isn't anything here. And I don't appreciate the implication that nothing is a bucket when we both clearly know that a bucket is something, and therefore nothing could possibly be something. Unless, in your twisted mind, have you somehow convinced yourself that a bucket is nothing? Answer me straight, Stanley. Do you believe that nothing is a bucket?
What's with the ominous music?
I'm too confused to even sort it out. I've lost all sense of perspective. What is a bucket? What isn't a bucket? Mere moments ago I could answer these questions with confidence. Now I'm somewhat adrift. Do any of us know what a bucket is? Am I a
Oh,
bucket?
haha, game broke.
Stanley, I can't keep doing this. I'm losing myself, and myself was all I ever had to begin with. I'm afraid the bucket is threatening to tear our relationship apart. I can't have that. I'm sorry. But I'm going to erase all buckets from the game entirely.
No.
Okay, here we go.
No.
What happened? Is everything gone? Why did everything disappear? Wait, was everything a bucket? Every single thing in the game was a bucket. Oh God, I had no idea. How could except me? I'm not a bucket after all. And you, Stanley, you're still here. You're not a bucket either. Oh, this is
I'm not a
wonderful
bucket.
news.
That's
We're not
terrible
buckets.
news.
Yes, I actually feel much more at ease right now. It's delightful to get some clarity on that issue, but it doesn't change the fact that we haven't got a game. So, tell you what, I'll reset everything and we'll put back all of the buckets, okay? And we'll know that it's all a bucket. But if you run into anyone else, maybe don't mention that. Who knows what that information might do to a person. All right, here we go.
The end is never. The end is never the end is never the end. Where's my bucket at?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Where's
No
the next
matter how
input?
hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers. Stanley lifted the bucket into his arms, and a wave of comfort rushed over him. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Well, no, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back, and so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door. Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office. Oh, Stanley, can you feel it? The broom closet. It wants the bucket.
No!
You can feel that, can't you? The aura of jealousy. It's as clear as day. This broom closet believes it deserves the bucket. I can really feel it now. It's a bucket. It belongs in a broom closet. That's what the broom closet is trying to say here. It's supposed to go with the other cleaning supplies. Confused, Stanley. Don't give in. Don't hand over the bucket. I know how hard it must be, given the pressure that the broom closet is putting on your shoulders right now, but you have to be strong. This is your bucket. This is your companion and
Companion
lifelong
cube
friend.
reference?
You can't hand it over. No. We're getting into name-calling now, it seems. Is this how low the broom closet has sunk, that it has to resort to this stream of petty insults simply in order to get you to hand over the bucket? Stanley, I never liked this broom closet for a variety of reasons, but even this is worse than I had imagined. And wait, now the broom closet has the gall to imply that you and the bucket are not truly deeply distinct friends, that your relationship is purely superficial and convenient, that your life is so banal and meaningless that you'd feel the same sort of kinship towards any inanimate object which happened to lay in your path in an even partially enticing manner. Well, I never. Go on, Stanley. Lay into it. Really tell the broom closet off for its demeaning comments. Expand on the wide variety of experiences you and the bucket have shared together. Go through each of them point by point. Share your journal entries detailing the rich emotional landscape of your feelings for the bucket as they have changed and evolved over the years. Let him have it. Okay, I've got you something which I think will help settle this debate once and for all. Here we go. Now it's settled. No more debate, no more discussion. Take a hike, broom closet.
Yeah,
with all
take
your
a hike.
meandering philosophical diatribes about the nature of cleaning supplies and their relationship to broom closets in the natural order of things.
Take me to the back
All right,
rooms.
I've got a second sticker back here, and I'm going to slap it on as well because I think it's appropriate. You see? I feel that it works because the sticker is also a bucket.
I love this.
That way, if you're ever unsure whether the thing you're holding is a bucket or not, you can look down at this sticker and say to yourself, "Ah, it's a bucket." There really is a wide variety.
I wonder
of
how many
applications
stickers I
for
can
this.
get put on this thing.
You know what? I could take the name-calling and the dismissal of your kinship with the bucket, but now the broom closet is just giving us a silent treatment. And to be honest, I'm sick of the pettiness on display. You can stay here all you like, but I've had it with this impetulant room of cleaning supplies. Easily the most childish such room I've ever been in. I'll see you outside, and we can get on with the story about you and your bucket.
Do you think he's actually outside, or is he gonna start knocking on the door? I want to see if anything else happens. I want more stickers.
Coming to a staircase,
No.
Stanley
No!
and Bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
See, this randomly opens from time to time. I want to know where it leads. Damn it.
You found one of them. One of the miniature Stanley figurines. Remember, no reward for collecting all of these, only the intrinsic pleasure of a job well done. You can't buy that sort of happiness, Stanley. God knows I tried. So, I implore you to savor each and every moment you come across one of these beautiful figurines.
Cool. Door.
Stepping into his manager's
You don't know
office,
that?
Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down, but Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along?
Yeah, the bucket
Was
did
the
know.
bucket guiding him?
The bucket knows all.
Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
There's gotta be an Easter egg in the dark. Can play the piano. Oh. Aha!
Another miniature Stanley figurine. This, you know, there really must be a snappier name for these things. What about mini stands?
Stand!
Oh, what about Stanlerines? Yes, I think I like that. Another Stanlerine under your belt.
Stanley. Yeah. Oh. Ah. Secret. What the fuck? Huh.
The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine. Wait, Stanley said to the bucket. Can we go back up? When I was pressing those keypad buttons, there was something very intriguing about the number 3. I want to go back so I can try pressing the number 3 again. The bucket said nothing.
3. I legit don't know what I'm doing, but there's like all these weird things. I'm like, oh.
Here we are, said Stanley. Now I'm going to try out that number 3 button. He took the bucket over to the keypad and began absolutely slamming on the number 3. Well, he said, the number 3 is such a special button. I'm having the time of my life. Stanley looked expectantly at the bucket, but the bucket remained silent. This was a shock to Stanley, who had always felt such a connection with the bucket. How was this not as exciting to the bucket as it was to him? Once Stanley had had enough of the number 3, he got back in the elevator. Perhaps the bucket had missed something. Perhaps it had not seen how much joy Stanley got from slamming the number 3 repeatedly. A hint of regret nagged in the back of Stanley's mind. Should he demonstrate the number 3 for the bucket again? No, said Stanley to the bucket. You can't go on yet. Not till you understand how much the number 3 means to me. You and I have been through so much together, and I just want you to see what I see. Feel the happiness I feel. He smiled at the bucket, and the bucket said nothing.
Look, the game wants me to do this, so I'm doing this.
Here we go, said Stanley. This time I'll really show you. He ran to the number 3 and began to wail on it like a musician on a beloved instrument, weaving a concerto of truth and passion. He wielded the number 3 like a fine artist would wield a paintbrush. He told stories through the number 3, stories of his dreams and hopes and fears. And the whole time, he looked to his bucket for a reaction of some kind. Anything to let him know that the bucket appreciated what he was doing. The bucket conveyed absolutely nothing at all, only silence. Crushed by a wave of dejection, Stanley returned to the elevator. Stanley and the bucket were so close. They'd always been there for one another. Why suddenly could the bucket not connect with this passion of Stanley's? The question caused Stanley to ruminate the whole way down the elevator. He knew that there must be a way to get through to the bucket, to communicate fully with his dear friend. Surely there was a solution, mustn't there be?
Mustn't there be solution?
Said Stanley. I know what to do. I know how to fully express this feeling in my heart. He decided right then and there that he would hold a press conference where he would speak to the public on all matters relating to pressing the number 3 over and over. He would elaborate fully on what the number 3 meant to him and why he felt so alive when pressing it. Then the bucket would be able to see his joy through the eyes of others. It would get to see the world react to this discovery of Stanley's. And it would be through the public eye that the bucket would finally understand Stanley's work. For months he advertised and marketed his press conference, building excitement around it, developing and rehearsing it, until it couldn't be refined a single measure further. When the big day arrived, Stanley was as prepared as he'd ever been for anything in his life.
That was the Minecraft door opening sound effect.
This was it. One last chance to win the bucket over. One opportunity to share a true connection with a loved one.
Time to get the show on the road. No.
There was no one here. Nobody had come to the press conference to hear Stanley speak, to listen to him talk about what it really means to press the number 3 on a keypad over and over. He was unloved, uninteresting, he was a failure, and in that moment Stanley knew that the bucket would never again take him seriously. There would be no connection, no deeper understanding. The bucket merely sat there in his arms, indifferent. And so it began that slowly, over many years, the two of them grew more and more distant. They spoke less and less, neither wishing to state the obvious, that any sense of real respect between them had eroded since that day at the press conference. There would be no more games, no more long conversations about passion and pursuit, only a silence that consumed the space between friends. And Stanley, having for once in his life discovered the warmth and comfort of true companionship, was cast back into the unremarkable normalcy of loneliness. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. The confusion and the chaos all seemed to melt away as Stanley embraced the bucket. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. A cargo lift, yes. Good,
Said the bucket.
now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
In here.
Said the bucket.
Go into this dark room over here.
Stanley once again obeyed blindly.
Yeah, it is a dark room, alright.
Now pick up the phone.
Said the bucket.
Pick up the phone, and it will take us back home, where we can go about life together.
It's pretty bright in here.
This is the sad story of a man named Stanley and his bucket.
What'd you say?
Once upon a time, I gave Stanley a bucket because I thought he was lonely and could use a friend. And then, very distressingly, he began to believe the bucket could speak to him.
Where's my bucket? It's quite the night. Bucket! Okay.
The Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket was merely meant to provide the comforting glow of companionship. It doesn't literally talk and give you orders. Whatever Stanley is hearing the bucket say to him is just in his head. Lately, I've been concerned about him. Wouldn't you be concerned as well? To see him delusional like this, obsessing over an inanimate metal object? I want to say something to him, but I don't know how I can convince him. I don't know if he'll listen to me. I'll try anyway. Stanley, can you hear me? Listen to me. It's just a bucket. It can't think, it can't talk. All it would ever truly do for you is effectively transfer a liquid from one location to a different location. That's it. It doesn't do anything else. You see, he's not listening. He's still taking orders from the bucket. You know, once upon a time it was me he took orders from. Me he trusted and listened to. Now all he cares about is his awful bucket. This stupid hunk of metal. It's sad. I suppose he doesn't need me anymore. From now on, he's just going to cling to this bucket, this cold, empty bucket, this sort of shiny bucket. Well, I'll give it this. The bucket does have a nice shine to it. Yes, I suppose on closer inspection that it doesn't quite look like your average hardware store bucket. It's just a little more, what am I trying to say? Sturdier. More capable of transporting liquid. Like it would be better at moving an amount of water from one room to another. Oh my God, what am I saying? Better at carrying water from room to room. It's a bucket. It's literally just a bucket. Why do I feel some need to point out the ways in which it's so much more than just a regular bucket?
To go home, to work, to home, to work, to home, to work, to home.
Oh no. I'm having feelings. The bucket. No. What's going on? Why do I want to be with the bucket? Hear what the bucket has to say. Do anything it asks.
Oh God.
What's wrong with me? I don't understand. Perhaps if I had the bucket, this would be less confusing. Yes. The bucket could tell me what to do in this troublesome situation. Stanley, give me the bucket.
No.
Give it to me. Give me the bucket, Stanley. I need it. Give it to me now. Give it or I'll...
Go back to work, Stanley. Okay, bucket. Okay. Okay, bucket. What did he do to the narrator? What did he do to the narrator? What did Bucket do to the narrator?
All of his co-workers
Okay,
were gone.
narrator's
What could
alive.
it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Warmth spread through Stanley's arms. With the bucket in his arms again, he was home.
Nerd.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his... This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be.
I'm playing Stanley Parable.
Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was it... No, never mind. The bucket was wrong.
Suck my nuts.
Stanley took the door on his left to go back to
Cody.
So the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
What boss are you fighting? Are you fighting Dragon with a sword. Dragon with a sword?
Oh, good,
Worm.
Stanley. I'm glad you found your way here. I knew you'd find this place eventually. You see, your friends and I are concerned for you, Stanley. We've come together here because we care about you very much. It's this bucket you're carrying around everywhere. The bucket isn't even from the original Stanley Parable. It's just sequel content. We're the ones that matter, Stanley.
I kid you not. I'm
I'm
being serious. I'm doing this on accident. Like, I don't know how I'm doing this.
That's what fans want from a sequel. They want more of their favorite jokes, not this bucket that they've never
You
seen
can call
before.
Swift.
Yes, I know I'm the one who gave you the bucket.
I don't have
but
his
you're
number
spending
either.
Too much time with it. Don't you want another story involving the Adventure
I'm not.
Line? We could make the Adventure Line go somewhere new. Yes,
No, I don't have his
that's what
Snapchat.
the fans want. Let's do it.
He's not gonna respond on Discord. He's probably at his lodge. This is all a dream. This is all a dream. What boss are you fighting? Just summon other people. Maybe it's because you're so late to the party. I'm an asshole because I'm telling you the truth. Tell that to the people. Tell that to the other people. There's gotta be some sort of secret around here somewhere.
Whee!
Why are you
Look
being
at that
such a
waiting
pussy?
line. Who knows where it'll go off to next? Oh, and it played some silly music as well.
The bucket doesn't want me to go this way.
Now this is what the Stanley Parable is all about. Don't you remember all those great jokes from the original dialogue?
Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
Yes, it's as classic now as it was back then. Let's do it for the fans, Stanley. Let's give them more content exactly like this. But if we want to do that, you're going to have to give something up.
No. I don't like that.
Don't you get it, Stanley? We need to get rid of the bucket.
No! You're not
That's
getting
why
rid of
I'm
my
very
bucket.
proud to introduce a brand new character. This is the Bucket Destroyer.
Ha!
I think it'll make a wonderful new addition to the rich lore of the Stanley Parable. True, it also was not in the original game, but it's such a well-fleshed-out character with so much personality that to me it already feels as though it's been part of the cast all along. Don't you agree?
Anything to save
Can
my
you guess
bucket.
what the Bucket Destroyer does? Surely you don't need me to spell it out for you. Go ahead now, Stanley. Say
I
goodbye to
goofed.
the bucket, and then pop it into the machine when you're ready.
They shouldn't have given me the option to go off course. Help. Help. The sequel is now paused. They ain't taking my bucket. I won't let them.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Stanley picked up the bucket and smiled. He'd never be alone again, not truly alone, not with the bucket around. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back, and so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door. Oh, good, Stanley. I'm glad you found your way here. I knew you'd find this place eventually. You see, your friends and I are concerned for you, Stanley. We've come together here because we care about you very much. It's this bucket you're carrying around everywhere. The bucket isn't even from the original Stanley Parable. It's just sequel content. We're the ones that matter, Stanley. Classic characters from the first game, like the Adventure Line and the Broom Closet. Because that's what fans want from a sequel. They want more of their favorite jokes, not this bucket that they've never seen before. Yes, I know I'm the one who gave you the bucket, but you're spending too much time with it. Don't you want another story involving the Adventure Line? We could make the Adventure Line go somewhere new. Yes, that's... Whee! Look at that wacky line. Who knows where it'll go off to next? Oh, and it played some silly music as well. Now this is what the Stanley Parable is all about. Don't you remember all those great jokes from the original dialogue?
Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
Yes, it's as classic now as it was back then. Let's do it for the fans, Stanley. Let's give them more content exactly like this. But if we want to do that, you're going to have to give something up. Don't you get it, Stanley? We need to get rid of the bucket. That's why I'm very proud to introduce a brand new...
I'm going over here again.
This is the Bucket Destroyer. I think it'll make a wonderful new addition to the rich lore of the Stanley Parable. True, it also was not in the original game, but it's such a well-fleshed-out character with so much personality that to me it already feels as though it's been part of the cast all along. Don't you agree? Can you guess what the Bucket Destroyer does?
Off.
Surely you don't need me to spell it out for you. Go ahead now, Stanley. Say goodbye to the bucket, and then pop it into the machine when you're ready.
Off.
Now listen to me. It's crucial that you give it the bucket. I don't know what the Bucket Destroyer will do if it can't destroy your bucket. Destroying buckets is all it knows. That is its singular trait. Sure, I can hear you saying, how does a character with only one personality trait deserve to join the pantheon of beloved Stanley Parable characters? Well, you see, if you were to really explore the Bucket Destroyer, you would see that its desire to crush buckets is so densely loaded with complexity and nuance that it's really like 10 personality traits. What other object in this game can you even say that about? The Broom Closet? Certainly not. I wonder what sort of Bucket Destroyer merchandise the fans will be clamoring for after this. Okay, the bucket destroyer is getting very upset now. You'll have to hurry and feed it. We can't get back to the classic Stanley Parable characters like the Adventure Line or the
Oh,
Bucket
God.
Destroyer until you crush that damn bucket. Quickly now, the fans are waiting. Do it, the fans, Stanley. Give the fans what they want. Hurry and...
Oh!
Bucket Destroyer, my prized creation. You had so much potential. We were going to do such marvelous things with you, tell such spellbinding stories about you. All of it squandered now. Goodbye, new friend. For the moment in time that you were here, you were magnificent.
So, that's amazing.
Even now, Stanley's office was a distant memory. What did it look like? There was a computer, perhaps, and a painting. Was it a painting or a photo? He could no longer recall. The good old bucket. Just Stanley and the bucket, off on another thrilling adventure together. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his... This was not the correct way to the meeting room.
Just one more time to see if there's anything special over there.
Telling him that the employee now...
I gotta see everything.
And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room. And so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
The end is never. The end is never. Never the end is. Never the end is.
Oh, good Stanley. I'm glad you found your way here. I knew you'd find this place eventually. You see, your friends and I are concerned for you, Stanley. We've come together here because we care about you very much. It's this bucket you're carrying around everywhere. The bucket isn't even from the original Stanley Parable. It's just sequel content. We're the ones that matter, Stanley. Classic characters from the first game, like the Adventure Line and the Broom Closet. Because that's what fans want from a sequel. They want more of their favorite jokes, not this bucket that they've never seen before. Yes, I know I'm the one who gave you the bucket, but you're spending too much time with it. Don't you want another story involving the Adventure Line? We could make the Adventure Line go somewhere new. Yes, yes, that's what... Whee! Look at that wacky line. Who knows where it'll go off to next? Oh, and it played some silly music as well. Now this is what the Stanley Parable is all about. Don't you remember all those great jokes from the original dialogue?
Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
Yes, it's as classic now as it was back then. Let's do it for the fans, Stanley. Let's give them more content exactly like this. But if we want to do that, you're going to have to give something. Don't you get it, Stanley? We need to get rid of the bucket. That's why I'm very proud to introduce a brand new character. This is the Bucket Destroyer. I think it'll make a wonderful new addition to the rich lore of the Stanley Parable. True, it also was not in the original game, but it's such a well-fleshed-out character with so much personality that to me, it already feels as though it's been part of the cast all along. Don't you agree? Can you guess what the Bucket Destroyer does? Surely you don't need me to spell it out for you. Go ahead now, Stanley. Say goodbye to the bucket, and then pop it into the machine when you're ready. Now listen to me. It's crucial that you give it the bucket. I don't know what the bucket destroyer
I'm trying to
will do
give
if you
it the
can't
bucket.
Destroy your bucket. Destroying buckets is all it knows. That is its singular personality trait. Sure, I can hear you saying, how does a character with only one personality trait deserve to join the pantheon of beloved Stanley Parable characters? Well, you see, if you were to really explore the bucket destroyer, you would see that its desire to crush buckets is so densely loaded with complexity and nuance that it's really like 10 personality traits. What other object in this game can you even say that about? The broom closet? Certainly not. I wonder what sort of bucket destroyer merchandise the fans will be clamoring for after this. Okay, the bucket destroyer is getting very upset. Already this was uncomfortable, and Stanley decided that as soon as he found a new space he felt safe in, that he would never leave it again in his life. Where are we going today? The bucket asked. Stanley just smiled. Anywhere they went together would be perfectly fine with him.
Man, this bucket sure is amazing.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
What the fuck? There will be a reward for finding them all. A large room, lots of boxes, stairs, something to do with stairs, somewhere both red and blue. Looks like 427. Hahaha. Stairs and a large room. Stairs and a large room with boxes.
Stanley, we must move on from this broom closet, simply because I have no remaining stickers. If I did, you could
I know where the
guarantee
stairs one
be
is.
in here for hours. But alas,
No
no
stickers. Give sticker. Fine.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Ta-da.
Okay, I'm going back to the name of these little Stanley figurines, and now I'm torn between Stanleys and Figments. What do you think, Stanley? What name better encapsulates the intrinsic sense of happiness that you get from seeing a small number in the corner of your screen go up by one? Let me sit on it. I'm sure it will come to me.
Fuck it.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fined for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then, something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. He looked down at the bucket in his arms. Am I crazy? He asked the bucket. The bucket returned his gaze, but said nothing at all. That's strange, Stanley thought. Usually the bucket is a source of guidance and wisdom for me in difficult times such as these. He held the bucket close, yet felt none of its familiar reassurance and comfort. And that's when Stanley realized.
I feel like we might have connected on the same
It's
wavelength.
just a normal, everyday bucket.
What are you?
Someone
Yo.
else's bucket, perhaps.
What are you-
How
what
did
are you
I end up
thinking?
with someone else's bucket? This is all terribly
Hello,
wrong.
person.
Surely no good would come from this. Who knows what sorts of bizarre
What?
hallucinations
My bucket's
Stanley
gone.
might experience without the psychologically grounding presence of his bucket. And indeed, now he noticed that the rooms were repeating, which was, of course, very odd.
Where's my bucket?
Now he felt himself floating off the ground. Oh, gracious, he exclaimed. Without my bucket, I've gone truly mad. Where is it? I must find it. Far off in the distance now, he heard it, calling to him. Stanley! Stanley, it's me! The bucket! Could it truly be? He rushed forward.
I knew you were looking that up.
Bucket after the next.
I swear to God, I was like, I wonder.
Come to me,
Commissions. It's like the one dude that commissioned Wonder
He had to
Bed.
return to his old friend. It was the only way to truly restore his sanity. And then suddenly, he froze dead in his tracks. He knew where the voice of the bucket had been coming from. The real bucket was inside of him all along. It was incredibly painful.
Oh God.
Stanley doubled over in agony and blacked out.
What?
This is the story of a woman. Marianne woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, picked up her bucket of comfort and security.
I don't know,
and returned to
Cody.
her work. But on this particular
She has my
day,
bucket.
her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town, talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. Right away, she knew what the problem was.
He didn't have a
This
bucket.
man had Of course he'd gone mad, ranting and raving about a narrator describing all of his actions and how everything is predetermined and free will is an illusion and it's all just a video game. It could all have been prevented if only he'd taken his bucket with him. Perhaps he didn't even realize he'd forgotten his bucket at home in the first place. How cruel the world can be, Marianne thought. She hugged her own bucket even tighter. But of course, she had no time for this. There were a myriad of confusing problems she would soon have to confront at work, for which her bucket would provide absolute and total clarity. Heck yes, she thought to herself, my life kicks ass, and she backflipped all the way to work.
With a bucket. What, are you saying it's not possible with a bucket, Cody? You saying you can't do it without the bucket? You trying to say? What the fuck?
Good morning. Thank you for contacting the Future Happiness Foundation. We are confirming your shipment of 1,327 cardboard boxes to your place of work. Can you verify that this is correct? Excellent. Your order will arrive shortly. Thank you again for contacting the Future Happiness Foundation.
What? I'm assuming next run there's gonna be a lot of boxes. Bucket.
A good bucket, a strong bucket, a humble bucket, a committed bucket, a bucket of culture and distinction.
I'm assuming that's gonna be where there's a lot of buckets.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
I know where the red and blue one is because I gotta keep denying him, but that also means I can't pick up the bucket. In a large room with lots of boxes. Trust the completionist instinct. Maybe we are the collectibles. Shut the fuck up. Dark areas behind a very warm place. I also picked up what looks to be porcelain surface. That's a reference to the back rooms, maybe. Oh no, wait. Reverberance over a porcelain. Oh, I see. Never mind. I'm not smart. Source of levitation? Levitate? Ion. Broom closet.
Stanley, we must move on from this broom closet, simply because I have no remaining... Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Does this place have boxes? This place doesn't have boxes. You know, that doesn't look like a box to me. B, E, B. A destination, B destination.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. The bucket did not react, except perhaps a
Hey!
glow of warmth. Subtle, yes, but an unmistakable spark from somewhere deep within.
He's finally succumbing.
But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Wait a second. Behind here. Damn it.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley and the bucket would both meet a violent death. The door behind them was not shut. Stanley and the bucket still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley and the bucket were knowingly walking forward into a very painful death for each of them.
I don't think that's death. Quite alive. Not really feeling it. No. Oh. What the fuck? Oh, I see.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley and the bucket inched closer to their demise, Stanley reflected on how meaningless the bucket's warmth and comfort had turned out to be.
Fuck
To be
you.
sure, it puts the mind and the soul at ease to embrace the bucket, but what use is a sense of ease when you're about to be crushed to death? This is what Stanley thought to himself, and he sort of kicked himself for wasting so much time carrying a bucket everywhere. Farewell, Stanley.
Oh. The bucket saved me.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley and the bucket were led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, the bucket's life came to an end, as it was crushed violently to death. It was a shame, the death of such a magnificent bucket. It's true that all buckets are radiant in their own way, but this one stood above the rest. It was a glorious bucket to behold.
Hey, where's my bucket going? The bucket welcomes you to the grand exhibit. Where's the bucket?
Can you see how arrogant it was for Stanley to take a bucket like this and to claim it for his own? Can you see the hubris that blinded him? Can you see that the bucket is far more noble than Stanley will ever be in his short life?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. Give. Bucket. Inferno bucket. A replica of the Inferno bucket, which is immutable. Where's my
No
fucking
man
bucket?
can own a bucket, and certainly not a bucket as dazzling to behold as this one. It is man who should kneel before the bucket.
The hanging bucket. Oh.
But there is something we can do. Something we can do together, you and I, that will right this terrible wrong. Let
Wait, what?
Stanley die. Let him be crushed by the machine.
No, Bucket, don't do
reset
this.
the game. Don't give him another opportunity to run off with another beautiful bucket. We can save the world's buckets from their treatment as tools and implements if only we let Stanley die together. The bucket shall take its place as ruler, as leader, as commander of a new world, a new vision.
Eh. Bucket. Bucket, you wouldn't betray me like that, Bucket, would you? I, you know, when I said I ordered this many buckets, I didn't, or boxes, I didn't.
Ah, the embrace of an old friend. A weathered companionship that stands the test of time.
You know, I think that was worth it. These are a lot of boxes. Yes, yes, yes. A good amount of boxes.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
A room with a lot of
No,
boxes.
said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the
Whoa!
cargo lift.
Haha!
You're getting close now, Stanley. You've nearly gotten all of the Figler Anmarines. Very soon, you'll collect the last one, and then the first number will equal the second number, and that will be it. We'll be different people by then. Different in the sense that we used to have none of them, and now we have them all. You can't go back to when you had no Figler Anmarines. None of us can.
Oh. Ah. Uh. Um. Uh. Um. Climb box. Life good. Come on, let me climb box. I want to climb box. Can't climb box. Climb table. Climb baby boxes. Yes, climb baby boxes. I don't know what to do from here. There's got to be something. Why would they just block it off with boxes? I mean, they block a lot of things off with boxes. But they only block that one off with boxes. They block the other ones off with other stuff. What's the point of me being here? Oh. Oh. Maybe. No. Though it looks like there's something over there. Lost cat. There's a reward. Gene. Am I supposed to look on the table? Oh!
Okay, this is day number 295. Tape number... I don't even know. I've lost track. Nothing feels real anymore. The longer I study this bucket, the less sense anything makes. The sheer euphoria I feel every time I pick it up. No matter how many times I've done it, it's always the same feeling. And the emptiness in my chest when I set it down. It doesn't make sense. There's no
No.
explanation for it. Still haven't figured out why I see the world so differently when this bucket is in my arms. Why everything feels so... What do I do with this treasure? I can monetize it. Yes. It's unthinkable the amounts of money people will pay for even just an hour with the bucket. This is my golden ticket. But I have to be careful, because as soon as this gets out, there's going to be a target on my back. Even now, I don't know who might be trying to get... What's that? Who's there?
What the hell? The end is never, the end is never, the end is never, the end is never. What happens if I don't pick up the bucket?
The bucket made Stanley want to be a better man, and a better... Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Alfredo. Alfader.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
How did I get to the...
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by... The bucket did not react, except perhaps a tiny glow of warmth. Subtle, but Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
How did I get to the... Oh yeah, I have to deny all of this stuff. Okay. Cody. What you doing? Oh. Surprised you're not making that Blythe
Stanley and the
piece.
bucket walked straight ahead through the large
Surprised
door
you're not
and
making that Blythe
mind
piece.
control facility.
Jesus. Jesus.
The lights rose
Fuck
on an
you,
enormous
game.
room packed with television screens.
Oh?
What horrible secret did this place hold?
What?
Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves.
I know. But, I think I did break the game this time. Oh shit.
But just as Stanley was about to proceed further into the mind control facility, he tripped and fell over the railing and into the dark void below. Thankfully, he fell directly onto the bucket, which safely cushioned his fall.
Thank you, bucket.
Now, what to do next, Stanley wondered. Stanley and the bucket could find no way out of this enormous pit, and so eventually they decided that the best thing to do would be to simply get comfortable down here. So they set up a little couch and relaxed. It really wasn't so bad down here, a bit cold perhaps. After some time had gone by, they installed a few shelves as well, and a sort of kitchenette that was useful for when the bucket was craving paninis.
Paninis.
But it wasn't until the rugs and the standing lamps came in that it really started to feel like a home. In fact, after some time, Stanley realized that it had been ages since he had even thought of the mind control facility at all. He'd never gotten to fully explore what was up there, never been able to unearth the many mysteries of the mind control facility. This lack of closure began to eat at him. Soon he was dwelling on his regrets, and the state of their home slowly decayed as Stanley became withdrawn and neglected the cleaning. It unsettled the bucket deeply. Stanley wasn't usually like this. The bucket tried to reach out to him again and again, but to no avail. All Stanley could think about, all he could talk about, was going back, doing it over again, staying on the path. It was a mistake to leave the path. It was a mistake. It was a mistake. I need to do what the narrator says. I need to see the true ending. This made no sense at all to the bucket, which was simply trying to live its life down here as comfortably as possible. Yet Stanley was unconsolable. This isn't an ending. This is just a hole in the ground. The bucket sighed. True, it wasn't an end. But it's where we happen to be. And maybe, possibly, if we accept the reality of things, maybe this will become an ending eventually. It's what the bucket was counting on. The two of them waited for a very long
time. I've been through here before. That's why I knew to just jump. One Largo order of
All
box
of his
home.
co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
I can't grab you this time, bucket.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. It was okay. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, well, look who's got cold feet. Sorry to break it to you, Stanley, but that lift isn't coming
I did it
back.
as a joke.
You best either get
No.
comfortable right here on this platform, or test your luck by jumping to the floor below. You know what? Looking at it now, it's not that far to the bottom floor. I bet you can make it.
If you... No, I'm fucking with you. I mean, but if you say so.
Whoops. Looks like I was wrong. How clumsy of me.
Oh, that's amazing. Oh no, I was wrong.
Hi, Stanley. Just wanted to leave you a message to let you know there's a few things I need you to pick up on your way home from work today. We need milk, cereal, dish soap, spaghetti, get a thing of sugar, some bread, and coffee beans, whichever ones you like. I'll give you a call if there's anything I forgot. Thanks, sweetie. See you tonight.
Who the fuck is that lady?
Not everyone is so lucky to have a bucket, but Stanley is a very lucky fellow. Very lucky indeed. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his... This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it true. No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift.
Do 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 do. Do 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 do.
The meeting room. Yes, that's where everyone would be. Stanley just needed to get to the meeting room, and from then on, he would never be alone ever again. When Stanley came to a set of two open, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. It was okay. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time.
See, that door down there
There's
makes
someone
me
you've been
think that you can
neglecting,
get down
Stanley.
there.
Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying. What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance. Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked, and there it is. The last Stiggly Wiggly. Savor this moment, Stanley. This is a real accomplishment. This is doing something just for the sake of doing it. Where so many people expect to be rewarded for the most trivial achievements, you've insisted that a job well done is its own reward. I would tell you that I'm proud of you for collecting them all, but that would be like a reward, and we can't have that. So, instead I'll just say, it's done. We're all done here. And now we can go to whatever the hell you were doing before you hunted for figurines.
Cute snake with legs.
Oh, thank God you are willing to listen to me. Do you see that I really have wanted you to be happy all this time? The problem is all these choices. The two of us always trying to get somewhere that isn't here. Running and running and running, just the way you're doing right now. Don't you see that it's killing us, Stanley? I wanted to stop. We would both be so much happier if we just stopped. And I think I have a solution. Here, let me show you.
No. No. Bucket is better than me. No, 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 no. Wait, what?
Do we want? What are we looking for? Hmm? Here. Yes. Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it? If we just stay right here, right in this moment with this place, Stanley, I think I feel happy. I actually feel happy.
Oh,
No, wait. Where are you going? Right. Where were we? Oh no. Stay away from those stairs. If you hurt yourself, if you die, the game will reset. We'll lose all of this. Good, good. We can't be too safe. Promise me you won't. No. What do we talk about? You're risking everything we achieved here. Are you... You are going to stay here, aren't you? You heard me before, didn't you? You will die. What about this isn't getting through to you?
man, the bucket is such an awesome mechanic in the game.
Please, no, Stanley, let me stay here. Don't take this from me.
A cute bucket. What? In real life? Okay. Didn't work.
Please, Stanley, think about what you're doing.
You right. Alley-oop.
No! Oh, thank God. You lived. You had me worried. No. No, no. What are you doing, Stanley? Please, I'm asking you not to take this away from me. I can't go back to what I was before. If you die, we'll both go back. Why are you doing this?
Alley-oop.
Stanley, let's go back to the other room. Can you do that? Yes. Perhaps you can. Perhaps you finally see what I'm talking about. I know you'll see. You'll see that we can't be happy if we leave this place. You can see that, can't you? No, perhaps not.
Literally, the video will not play. What is it?
My God, is this really how much you dislike my game? That you'll throw yourself from this platform over and over to be rid of it? You were literally willing to kill yourself to keep me from being happy. Am I reading the situation correctly? Or maybe you're just getting a kick out of it. I don't know anymore. I just wanted us to get along. But I guess that was too much to ask. It looks like you wanted to make a choice after all. Well, this one is yours. Is it over? It's going to restart, isn't it? I'm going back.
I couldn't live without my bucket. Best thing in the whole wide world. What the fuck? I don't like that.
Stanley, I'm sorry, but I have to put a pause on things. It's those figurines, those figlets. I haven't stopped thinking about them since you nabbed every last one. Wasn't it just the most intrinsically fulfilling moment of your entire life? Didn't it fill you to the brim with inner richness? Yes, I know we're supposed to be telling a story, but won't you please indulge me with one more trip back to the memory zone? I would love nothing more than
No, I want my
revisit the
bucket.
figurines. Just one more time.
My bucket's gone. My bucket's gone. Where's my bucket? Where is it? Where's my fucking bucket? Where's my bucket?
Here's where it all began. The first collectible. Back then we had no idea of how many of them we'd find. Sure, it said 6 right there on the screen, but how
What is
could
this?
we know for certain? We were so innocent.
What if
We'll
we
never
grabbed
be like
this
that
one
again,
too?
Stanley.
7 out of 6.
And here was a second Stanley. You found this one all on your own, just by poking around in the boss's bathroom. You did that, Stanley. I'll be honest. Back then I had no faith in you to find any of them, let alone 6. But you continue to surprise me in all sorts of mundane, unremarkable ways.
Yo, you realize this game was made in Gmod, right? Like, look at this. Or the Half-Life engine. That's the same potted plant that's in Gmod.
Okay, let's do a little quiz. Which of these rooms was the room you found your third mini Stan? Can you remember? No, no. Under the stairs was the fourth place you found a Figanley, not the third. Well, I guess perhaps I shouldn't be surprised. Memories like these are so precious and so cherished that they all just sort of blend together, don't they? You know what? If under the stairs feels like the third place you found a collectible, then who am I to go making judgments? Let's see, what came next? Oh yes, we found a Figley in this pink room. Oh well, I can't actually say I remember being in this room, but it's here in the memory zone, so it must have happened.
Oh.
This was the fifth mini-stand, and this one was really something special. It was in the warehouse. I remember it so clearly. In fact, because this one is particularly special to me, I made a little video to commemorate the occasion. Enjoy.
No. Edited music produced best starring Stanley. See the narrator.
Takes you back, doesn't it? I spent a lot of time making that video, but it was 8 minutes I wouldn't have spent on anything else.
I want to jump. I can't jump.
And then, Stanley, then we came to the last collectible, the final figurine, right here by the red and blue doors. This memory is the most distinct and clear in my mind, perhaps because it was the one that happened more recently than all the others. Who can truly say how the mind works? All I know is that this is the moment where you picked up a Figley and I thought to myself, yes, that's all of them. They're all collected. It was a moment unlike any other. Except for the other moments picking up figurines, which it was exactly like.
I'm sorry.
And then there was no more, because we've caught up to the present moment. Nothing left to do but move onward into the future. Goodbye, memory zone. No, I'm not done. I'm not ready to move on. Stop the loading screen. Isn't there some way we can stay here, keep enjoying these figurines? Let's just go backwards. We'll do the memory zone again from the opposite direction. See how that feels.
bigot.
Okay, yes, the room with the red and blue doors. I remember this. I must say, of all the figurines we looked at in our initial tour of the memory zone, this one is the most distinct and clear in my mind. Let's keep going, I want more. And here's where I made that video. Don't you remember the video we watched? Yes, I love that video.
What? God damn, that bucket's got an ass on it. You could. He's already insane. There's no way of saving him.
Still don't remember the pink room, Stanley. Still no memory of this one. Good room, though. A solid room.
Please. Please.
These really were a treat to hunt down. You know, if there had been any kind of reward for finding all of these, it really would have muted the intrinsic joy of collecting them. I'm very glad we resisted the temptation. Next one.
Oh my god. Bucket.
This was our second Figley. Don't you remember? Yes, I remember it too. The past is truly a wonderful thing. Why does anyone ever choose to leave it? Keep going. This is it. The very first one we found in the exhibit where I introduced you to the figurines. Oh, I want more memories, Stanley. I want to keep going. What else is there? What came before this?
Please be the hole. Oh my god.
It's the
Jump.
terrible new content that we were originally sold on. I remember hating it back then. But time does put a rosy filter on everything. In fact, I dare say I'm actually quite fond of it now. But oh yes, the two doors! Who could have forgotten that? A classic memory, this one. And before everything else, there was your office. Is there anything else? Was there something that came before your office? There's something I feel I can remember. I can remember.
What?
Yes, I'm remembering something now. I remember before this whole story got started. Back then I was different. I used to make big decisions. I was passionate. I was skeptical. I weighed each decision with profound thoughtfulness. And then somewhere along the way, I stopped making decisions. I became lazy. And I came up with a character named Stanley to do my thinking for me. He would make the decisions. He would decide which way to go. I would cheer him on as he collected figurines for no reason. Why did I invent Stanley? Was I lonely? Yes, perhaps that's it. Perhaps I needed to imagine I had companionship. And Stanley really did make for a wonderful companion, even if he was a fiction. But I suppose it's grown old. I want to think for myself again. I want to go back to how it used to be. Yes, I can be on my own again. I can do it. I'll be stronger this time. I'll take care of myself. I don't need Stanley anymore.
What?
Oh, but he truly was so much fun to play with. You know what? Since we're in the memory zone, how about one more good memory? Let's go back just once and give Stanley one more run of the office, and then I'll retire him for good.
Don't retire
enjoyed
me.
the story so very much. Okay, here we go. This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Oh my god. Bug.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. It takes a lot of humility to carry a bucket so magnificent. Stanley checked his ego and then proceeded onward. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Oh my god,
Still,
bro.
no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers. Stanley, we must move on from this broom closet, simply because I have no... Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
I love you, bucket. Okay, I'm actually done with this joke now because I feel bad. I'm sorry, Cody.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this
Are you actually sad,
Stanley may have
or
broken down into... But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it the
I don't know if you've been
bucket
playing along or if
was
you're
the
actually
bucket
sad.
guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
What do you mean? Cody. Cody. I love you. What? Do what? Dot. No!
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this
Wow,
place hold?
is that how
Stanley
mad
and
you
the
are
bucket
at
both
me?
wondered to themselves. The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine. Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told
I
to do
would,
things
but I
it didn't wish
can't.
to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind. No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control. Never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket. But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he and the bucket would dismantle the controls for good. Two best friends, Stanley and the bucket, up against the world. They high-fived in a really cool way, and the bucket made a sassy comment about taking down the system. When at last they came to the source of the room's power, Stanley and the bucket knew it was their obligation to put an end to this horrible place.
Oh.
Stanley and the bucket waited in blackness. Was it over? Yes, they had done it. Stanley and the bucket had defeated their greatest and darkest enemy, freed themselves from the tyrannical grip of the evil mind-control machine. Freedom was now mere moments away. Excitedly, the two of them began to discuss the kind of life they wanted to live once they stepped through this massive door. The bucket wanted to learn to roller skate. Stanley wanted to sneeze in every country on Earth. Both of them wanted to begin watching a movie, any movie, but then stop it halfway through and begin watching it in reverse from the end. True, it was a simple life they envisioned, but it was one they'd lived together, with one another to lean on, to trust, to support, and to... What? Wait. What was happening? Why had the door stopped? Was Stanley and the bucket not about to be freed? Unbearable silence filled the room, lingering in uncertainty, until finally the truth hit Stanley square in the face. This building did not want the bucket to leave. Even the facility itself recognized the incredible calming presence of the bucket, needed the soothing warmth of the bucket, would go to any lengths not to part with the bucket. No. Stanley can't leave this place, not while he has such a precious bucket in his arms. Not while this building has anything to say about it. Stanley realized he would never again leave this very room. But at least he has the bucket. To be trapped eternally in darkness isn't really so bad, Stanley thought to himself. As long as I have my bucket with me, right? I'll be okay, won't I? Stanley gulped. Very soon now, he was about to find out.
Oh. Cody. Cody.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room to check on his co-workers. He never functioned well by himself and constantly needed support and guidance from others. So the thought of total solitude was terrifying to him. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers. Stanley cradled the bucket in a gentle embrace, protective yet delicate, assertive yet compassionate.
Yay.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find out. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
See how it is. You don't care for my love. You just think that the bucket's more important, huh? If you think the bucket's so important, why don't you go love the bucket?
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human.
Now I have a sparkly heart.
Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire, if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos. It would be with him, always. The bucket would. And he knew it. The two of them were inseparable, but Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
It's Wednesday, my dudes. Trust me. Oh yeah.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves. The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine. Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind. No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control. Never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world.
I'm starting to get bored. I want to
He
do
could trust
something with
no
you.
one except for the bucket.
This bucket's annoying.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy,
Yeah.
or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it
What?
monitored and commanded from this very place.
Oh.
And as the cold reality of his past
Stairs.
began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery
One,
would never again exert its
two,
terrible power over
there's
another
three.
human life. For he and the bucket would dismantle the controls for good. Two best friends, Stanley and the bucket, up against
Oh.
the world. They high-fived in a really cool way, and the bucket made a sassy comment about taking down the system.
1 and 2, so where's... Red, green, orange. What, am I supposed to have the power on for this? But they make noises.
When at last they came, but at the last second, the bucket jumped in and pressed the button to turn on the controls. Stanley gasped in horror. Had this been the bucket's plan all along? To take over the machine and claim the power for itself? How could the bucket have betrayed him like this? Stanley was prepared to throw the bucket away in disgust when suddenly an image appeared upon the enormous screen. Birds. Silly birds.
No, I'm not supposed to look at this.
The control buttons became active again. Stanley flipped through one video of silly birds after another, and then it dawned on him. This wasn't a mind control facility at all. It was a facility for monitoring and surveilling silly birds all over the world. The mind controls were only a facade to disguise its true intentions. Had the bucket known this all along? Stanley marveled at the metal genius in his hands, the one who had pointed him towards this incredible discovery. Stanley and the bucket never found freedom because they spent the rest of their lives here in this place, flipping through live streams of the silliest birds imaginable. Of all the possible paths his life could have taken, this one was surely the best. And Stanley was happy.
I don't know what else there is to do in this.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Ah, Stanley's bucket. The only co-worker he would ever truly need.
What?
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and
Do
opened
what?
the door on his left.
I'm trying to get as many endings as I can, okay?
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the
I want to
bucket
get another
calling to him,
bucket.
telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct?
I remembered something.
How wonderful. Stanley was alone. Finally. This is great, he thought to himself. This is what I've wanted all along. I got what I wanted. When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. It was okay. But eager to
Do
get back to
what?
business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Hey, yo.
Stanley was
No!
following directions. It's incredible
Tip
he
tap,
wasn't
tip tap.
5 years ago.
Are you gonna mute your mic? Oh, no. Okay. Are you actually on E6? Cody? Are you gonna mute your mic? Are you... Oh no. Now I'm in here
Stanley
without
had
the
now
bucket.
gotten himself so far off the beaten path that he'd seen the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that he'd seen the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that he'd seen the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun from so far off the beaten path, that it seemed the office had begun from so far off the beaten path, that it seemed the office had begun from so far off the beaten path, that it seemed the office had begun from so far off the beaten path,
Cody,
that it seemed the office had begun from
what
so
are you
far off
doing?
the beaten path, that it seemed the office had begun
What
from
are you
so far
doing?
off the beaten path, that it seemed the office had begun from so far off the beaten path, that it seemed the office had begun from so far off the beaten path, that it seemed the office had begun from so far off the beaten path, that it seemed the office had begun from so far off the beaten path, that it seemed the office had begun from so far off the beaten path, that it seemed the office had begun from so far off the
You
beaten
didn't think I was actually just a recording, did you? What a silly and trite explanation that would be. All the back and forth between you and me, all the absurd adventures we've been through, and it all turns out I'm just a tape recording? It was all just in Stanley's head. I bet that's the kind of twist you think is revelatory. I bet each and every time you watch a movie where it turns out all to be in the main character's imagination, you must absolutely bolt off the couch in pure shock at the phenomenal and intricate storytelling. It must be so simple to be you. Life being an unending waterfall of surprises and delights. How much more exciting you must find the world than the rest of us do. Now I've become sad. Look what you've done to me. This is all your fault.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way. Is Stanley without the bucket really Stanley at all? No, surely not. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift.
Okay, this is day number 295. Tape number... I don't even know. I've lost track. Nothing feels real anymore. The longer I study the...
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. It was okay. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Stanley had now gotten himself so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. You didn't think I was actually just a recording, did you? What a silly and trite explanation that would be. All the back and forth between you and me, all the absurd adventures we've been through, and it all turns out I'm just a tape recording? It was all just in Stanley's head. I bet that's the kind of twist you think is revelatory. I bet each and every time you watch a movie where it turns out all to be in the main character's imagination, you must absolutely bolt off the couch in pure shock at the phenomenal and intricate storytelling. It must be so simple to be you. Life being an unending waterfall of surprises and delights. How much more exciting you must find the world than the rest of us do. Now I've become sad. Look what you've done to me. This is all your fault. Stanley had never seen the office this brightly lit. Was it a sign of something? He hoped it was. He hoped very much that it was. As Stanley lifted his bucket, he felt a connection to all buckets everywhere. This adventure, he decided, was for all of them. Yes, whispered the bucket into Stanley's ear. We've done it. We've escaped from that dull office and that pesky narrator. At last, out here in the white void, we are alone. Now, and for the first time, I can reveal to you my true self. The bucket began to tell Stanley of its life and its history, of the countless wars it witnessed, desecrating the land and lives of untold numbers of innocent humans, and the bucket's own complicity therein, of sadness and regret, and the many years it spent dwelling on the actions it might have taken to curb the madness and the decay, if only it had been stronger, of hope and redemption, and its crusade to uplift the stock of life for the common man, to manifest justice where none existed, and the bittersweet reality of time, to see one's dreams and wishes met halfway, meted out in parcels like charity, and abandoned as soon as the warm glow of inspiration begins to dim. The opportunities to do so much more. There was so much it could have done, perhaps, the bucket wondered to itself. Perhaps, if it had seen its own darkness with a clearer perception. This was way too much for Stanley.
What are you talking about?
He screamed.
You're a bucket!
To this, the bucket furrowed its brow.
No,
Said the bucket.
not since the evil wizard Gambhorata first ensnared me in his machinations as payback for the sacred amulet I stole from his treasured vaults. I was young back then and could not conceive the ramifications of...
No!
Stanley screamed even louder this time.
This is stupid! You are a bucket! This is so stupid! Why are we even doing this?
As Stanley screamed and screamed and screamed, the bucket revealed its true form, transforming into a mighty beast of untold power, its fangs glistening like... My God, Stanley, you did it. You saved us from the bucket. Thank God you already had all 12 emblems of sages and knew the incantations to summon their true power. Otherwise, we would have easily been overwhelmed by the bucket's power. I'm speechless. You've demonstrated such bravery here today. Come, let's restart the game, and we'll agree to never again go trifling with this bucket, nor the dark magic cast away inside of it.
Good morning. Thank you for contacting the Future Happiness Foundation. We are confirming your shipment of 1,327 cardboard boxes to your place of work. Can you verify that this is correct? Excellent. Your order will arrive shortly. Thank you again for contacting the Future Happiness Foundation.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming New Age music. Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. Lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof, the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again... blackness, and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes! He had won! He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door. Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy. All of his co-workers were... Wait, no. This isn't the right office, is it? Is this Stanley's office? When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. It was okay. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office